Hare Krishna Maharaj, we can hear you and see you, but we can't see the slides here.
You can't see the slideshow. Just now coming. 1 minute. 5 minutes ago. I think what I'll do is I'll just begin, and when the slideshow comes, the slideshow comes.
Slideshow will come, Maharaj.
The slideshow will come, I'm being told. So let us offer our obeisances to our founder Acharya, by whose mercy we're engaged in the bhakti process, and at least I'll speak for myself, I know something about Govardhan Hill. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're continuing your Sunday morning Govardhan Parikrama Part 3. And when we ended up with Part 2 yesterday, refresh your memory, we were at Govinda Kund. And now we're on this map, we're not yet at Govinda Kund, but you'll see this map, maybe you remember this map. The blue dot that says 11, that's Anior town. Anior town that's the rooftops of that town, Anior. And we visited the Balaram Temple. Remember the Dauji Temple? And 14 was the Gopal Temple. We're going to see the Gopal Temple again in just a moment. And Sankarshan Kund, which is number 13, that kind of green lake at the bottom. And then Gauri Kund is where we're going next. So here's the Gopal Rai Temple. That's that white structure up on the hill, and the lake in front of us is Sankarshan Kund. Sankarshan is one of the names of Balaram, given at the time of the name-giving ceremony by when Nanda Maharaj was taken to a cowshed by Gargamuni. Sankarshan is a name of Balaram. Up on the hill, that's the Govardhan Hill, to the left of that white building, which is the Gopal Rai Temple, that brown structure, that's the old temple that's now abandoned and is deteriorating. Here's some scriptural indication of this Sankarshan Kund found in Vayu Purana, where it says, "Oh, Tirtharaj by the name Sankarshan, oh, beautiful fountain of bliss, I offer my obeisances to you because you give grains and wealth to the Yadavas." And in Bhakti Ratnakar, the glorification of Sankarshan, the Sankarshan Kund, whoever wants to fulfill his desires should take bath here. Now, just below on the map was Gauri Kund. We're going to spend a little bit of time at Gauri Kund. There's a wonderful pastime that took place at Gauri Kund. Very many years ago, Gauri Kund wasn't so expanded, it looked like this. And we're going to hear a wonderful pastime from Vidagdha Madhava Nataka. That's by Rupa Goswami, describing Krishna's pastimes in Braj that took place at Gauri Kund or Gauri Tirtha. The drama begins, the part of the drama begins with Abhimanyu, the so-called husband of Radharani, was up and about and moving around early in the morning, and his path crossed Purnamasi. Now Purnamasi is Yogamaya personified, and Purnamasi is the grandmother of Madhumangal. Madhumangal, you all know, the grandson of Purnamasi and dear friend of Krishna. And her function in Vrindavan was nobody would take any major decision without consulting her. And it's described that she, although she was a widow, she was dressed not in white as we do, but she was dressed in a saffron-colored cloth, carrying a kamandalu like a brahmani and so forth. So Abhimanyu crossed Purnamasi's path, and she asked him, Abhimanyu, where are you going so early in the morning? And Abhimanyu said, I've come to seek your blessings. What is that? I've seek your blessings that I'd like to move from Vrindavan to Mathura. Why? I'd like to move because Radharani is always having some difficulty with Madhava. And Purnamasi managed to convince Abhimanyu, oh, it's just gossip and rumors. Don't pay any attention. Any people can say anything, gossip and rumors. And she said, if you actually catch Madhava with Radharani red-handed, then you can move to Mathura. And the photograph you see on the right, that's a deity of Purnamasi. In a moment, we'll see a close-up of her face. So after he was pacified, he then made a second proposal. And the second proposal was, he heard from reliable sources that Chandravali had been initiated into Gauri worship. And from Gauri worship, now her husband, Govardhan Malla, has become really rich, and I want to become rich too. Can you engage Radha in the worship of Gauri? And Purnamasi was very happy and said, sure, you have my blessings. Your desire shall be fulfilled. So Abhimanyu went quickly back to Yavat, and then in the drama, the next actress appears on the scene. This is the close-up photograph of Purnamasi deity, smiling very nicely. Vrindadevi arrived, and Vrindadevi said, Krishna has sent me to you to help make some arrangements so he can have pastimes with Radharani during the day today. Purnamasi was very happy, and just as they were discussing how that pastime arrangement could be made, right on cue come Vishaka and Lalita. And together the four are considering how Radha and Krishna should meet today. And Vishaka mentioned that Chandravali was going from her husband's home to her father's home today, and she may be passing by Gauri Tirtha. So they thought, this would be great. Then she can meet Krishna there, and Radharani can be some pastimes with Radharani. So sure enough, Chandravali and Padma were traveling from her family's home to her father's home, and Krishna was there at Gauri Tirtha or Gauri Kund, and some lively exchange took place between the two, Chandravali and Krishna. And just as Krishna was playfully reaching for Chandravali to embrace her, who would come along but Chandravali's grandmother? And Chandravali's grandmother chastised Krishna very, very strongly, and had grabbed her granddaughter by the hand and took her back to her husband's home, much to Padma's dismay. Sometime after, Radharani came because Vrinda and Purnamasi had gone to find Radha to send her to Gauri Kund so she could do Gauri Puja. And when Radha came to the Kund, she came across Krishna, and Krishna blocked her path. And she said something very strong, "Get out of my way. I've come here to worship Gauri. What are you doing?" And it says inadvertently, but actually it was deliberately, instead of addressing Radha as Radha, he addressed her as Chandravali. Oh, Radha became really mad, and in a haughty mood, she went storming away to gather flowers to worship Gauri. Rupa Goswami says, in the drama itself, Krishna did that deliberately so there could be a change of mood and change of flow in the pastime. So in the pastime, he, by his own arrangement, Vrinda Devi came along and he requested, "Vrinda Devi, please give me a costume so I can dress like the Gauri deity." This is one of Vrinda Devi's expertises. This is a deity of Vrinda Devi found in Vrindavan. And sure enough, Vrinda Devi brought a Gauri deity costume for Krishna. And he stood in front of the Gauri deity. And meanwhile, Padma, she was angry. She thought Lalita had gone to Chandravali's grandmother to tell her that she's with Krishna, so she wanted to get back at Lalita. So she, Padma, went to Yavat to tell Jatila. Jatila is the mother-in-law of Radharani. Are you losing names? Who's? You know who Jatila is? No idea. Jatila, you know who Radha is. So Radharani had a mother-in-law. Mother-in-law means her husband's mother. So in Javat, that's where Radharani lived after she was so-called married to so-called husband. In the Blackish form, that's Abhimanyu. In the middle is his mother, Jatila. And next to Jatila is Abhimanyu's sister, whose name is Katila. Jatila is the mother. And she's this kind of wound-up lady. You know, the kind. And so off they went, Jatila and Abhimanyu, to catch Radha with Krishna. The plot thickens. So when they reach there, they see Radharani offering flowers and prayers to Gauri. And the deity, as you see, is very effulgent. So what their understanding was that Radha's worship was so strong that Gauri herself came out of the deity and was standing in front of the deity form of Gauri. Very interesting, huh? So Radharani said, "Please, oh Gauri Devi, please grant my request." And Gauri Devi said, "What you're asking for is impossible." And Abhimanyu then spoke and said, "Aha! Radharani, we've caught you red-handed. Here you are at Gauri Tirtha. Where is this Krishna? We can tell by the fragrance that he's somewhere in the vicinity." And he then asked, "Gauri, can you tell us what it was that Radharani was requesting of you that said it's not possible?" And Krishna said, "The news is too terrible, I can't tell you." "Oh, what's the terrible news?" "A great calamity is going to befall you, Abhimanyu." "What is that? What is that?" Gauri said, "It's too terrible, I can't tell you. Vrinda, you can tell him." Vrinda said, "Tomorrow, Kamsa is coming here to Vrindavan, is going to cut off your head and offer your head to Shiva." "No!" Jatila went mad. Gauri, please do something. Please do something. Radha, Gauri has come before the deity form. By your devotion, ask. And so Radha pleaded, oh, Gauri, please protect me from being at a loss of my master, meaning Krishna, because there was a threat that she was going to be taken from Vrindavan to Mathura. And Krishna said, it's normally, even great sages and ascetics and yogis, when they come and make appeals like this to me, I don't reciprocate. But your devotion is so strong, I'll agree. But on one condition. Every day, you come here and worship me. Don't do anything else. Every day, don't go anywhere. You come and worship me every day. And Jatila said, yes, she'll come every day and worship you every day. Krishna. Krishna is smiling and he's enjoying the pastime. And Abhimanyu said, the journey to Mathura is canceled. We're going just to stay here. Oh, thank you, Radharani. And then Lalita says, Gauri told us that anyone who makes some bad remark, calling his wife unchaste, he'll be destined for the worst punishment in hell. And Abhimanyu said, well, sometimes my mother, she gets a little anxious and she imagines so many things. Don't worry, we understand Radharani is perfectly chaste. So they went back to Yavat, feeling that Radharani's chastity has protected them. And just then, Purnamasi arrived on the scene again. And Purnamasi said, oh, how wonderful. Now it's checked by Krishna, by your mercy. Radharani will not be leaving Mathura, or leaving Vrindavan for Mathura. Well done, well done. And Krishna said, just see, a perfect arrangement by your mercy, that now Radharani is going to stay. We are going to continue having our pastimes together. Please tell me in what way I can be of service to you. And the drama ends with Purnamasi saying, all my desires have already been fulfilled, but since you're asking, I have two requests. Please always enjoy in the kunjas of Vrindavan with Radha. And any devotee in whose ear a small drop of this nectarian pastime enters, let him attain a loving affection to your lotus feet, just like Radharani's. So that's a very nice pastime that took place at Gauri Kund. And where we were is that, remember, Govardhan Hill runs north and south. So this is looking east and west, but it's not east and west, it's north and south. And we've been moving along the eastern side, or moving from the right side of the screen, Radha Kund, through past Govardhan town, heading for the punch, or the tail, of Govardhan Hill. And where we were just now was in the Anior town, number 4, and we're heading for number 3, or the tail of Govardhan. Here's a close-up look. Again, Anior is the town in this map, number 1. The place where they found, where Madhavendra Puri found the deity of Gopal, Prakat Stali it's called. That's number 2. And you follow the red line, and in the red line, we're heading for Govinda Kund. And the path that we're going to follow is where that red line marks. So now take a close look. Along the pathway, there's the Shakshi Gopal Temple. Those of you that have read in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the deity of Shakshi Gopal was a witness for the conversation between the elder and the younger Brahmin, there's the Shakshi Gopal Temple. right by the side of Govardhan Hill. Let's go inside. The actual Shakshi Gopal deity is now in Orissa, but this is the Shakshi Gopal deity presently in the Shakshi Gopal Temple. There is a closer image of the Govinda Kund. And we're going to see this image maybe 10 times. So let us first go over to the right side where you see number 1. That's the Madan Mohan Temple. And then we'll come back to Govinda Kund itself, number 2. The Madan Mohan Temple is pictured here. It has a large set of steps leading up to a nice temple structure. Generally speaking, whenever I've gone to this area, Govinda Kund area, there's always animals. Here it looks like some sheep, as well as some cows and some bullocks. But there's always, so many times, so many animals in this area. Let's go up the steps and take darshan of the nice deities inside. Here's the altar. And on the center of the altar, whoops, it's supposed to give the name. Madan Mohan. Radha Madan Mohan. And to their side, Gaurnatai deities. And I don't know if that's Radharani. My guess would be that's Radharani on our right side or the deity's right side. And of course, Govardhan Shilas. So Madan Mohan at the Madan Mohan Temple. And here's an aerial photograph of Govinda Kund. And we're going to see our map again in a moment. This is the place where Surabhi performed Abhishek of Krishna after the Govardhan Leela. We heard the whole Govardhan Leela yesterday, lifting of Govardhan Hill. And this is the lake that was formed from the bathing of Surabhi. Of course, the photos are at different times of the year, so the water is at a different height and even sometimes a different color. Govinda Kund is exalted for its many spiritual activities. It was here that Indra, defeated by Lord Govinda, offered prayers to him and bathed him. With humility, caused by great fear, Indra took hold of the lotus feet of Krishna and, in the company of the Surabhi cow, performed his coronation festival by bathing him with the waters of the heavenly Ganges river. Thus Lord Krishna's kingship over the cows became splendidly manifest. I pray that Govinda Kund, the lake created by that ceremonial bath, may eternally appear before my eyes. So here's devotees taking their bath, or at least taking water from Govinda Kund. Here's some local pujaris and a very interesting sadhu by the side of one of the pujaris. I don't know his name, but he's regularly sitting there, very colorful. And another one of the local pujaris, very peaceful, very respectful to the devotees when they come. So that's Govinda Kund. Now we're going down to the bottom center where it's the Radha Govinda Temple. And here's the entryway to the temple. And on the altar are the deities of Shri Radha Govinda. And there's a much nicer deity decoration in the upcoming photographs. Here, he's more nicely decorated. You can see by his right side, or on our left, that's the Panchatattva painting. And smaller deities of Radha Govinda. And on another day, another deity dressing. So very beautiful, well cared for deities. Next, Radha Gopinath, number 4, right at the corner of Govinda Kund. let's go take darshan. Here's the entrance, and inside small deities, Radha Gopinath deities. And there's a Shiva Linga. On one side is Ganesh and Lord Shiva, Panchamukhi Shiva in the back, and Parvati. This is the temple area, because it's in the corner of Govinda Kund, and so many photographs of the very sacred place, Govinda Kund. In the background, you see the rise of the Govardhan Hill. It's a very large lake, painted yellow like this sometimes. Many pilgrims come here, local devotees come, pay their respects to Govardhan. On top of the hill you see some cows grazing. We don't go on the hill, but the cows do. It's okay. And a blue cow up on top, looking the other way. Okay, so now we're going, after Radha Gopinath Temple, we're going to the Jagannath Mandir. See where number 5 is, over further from the corner of Govinda Kund. And then we're going next to number 6, Vallabhacharya's temple, because Vallabhacharya spent time here. Here's the Jagannath Temple, and you see this photograph of Lord Nityananda down in the bottom row there. And this is the sitting place of Vallabhacharya, the pujaris who are looking after the facility. Sitting place means he spent some extended time just engaged in japa, meditation, chanting the holy names of the Lord, and meditating on the Lord and his pastimes in this place. Here's the Shilas, which he personally worshipped at Govardhan Hill by the side of Govinda Kund, and a deity of Narayana that it is said by the local pujaris he personally worshipped for some time. Next, we're going to the Temple of Gopal. At the end of yesterday morning class, we saw the deity of Gopal. You're going to see again, and then Mukharavind. So here's the approach to that temple. Here's the area surrounding that temple. And just over to our right side of the wall, there's the entrance to the temple. Some very old trees growing by the side of Govinda Kund. If you're going to be a tree, it's a very, very nice place to be a tree, by the side of Govinda Kund. There's the entrance to the temple, and the nice deity of Gopal. Very similar in form to the original Gopal deity, of course much larger, that's now in Natadwar. Same deity, nicely taken care of. A bas-relief deity, as was common during that time. And Mukharavind, those of you that were with us yesterday morning, you remember at Manasi Ganga there was a Mukharavind. Well, here's Mukharavind number 2. And then we're going to see tomorrow number 3. This particular one, intuitively, it seems to me this is just a fundraising facility for the man that's the pujari here. But in any case, on the left-hand side, he claims, this is Mukharavind, that means the mouth of Govardhan. And the Anantashesh deity is on our right, just like the hoods of a serpent are sticking out of a cobra. So this Anantashesh has that kind of appearance. And he indicate where the 2 eyes are, Ganesh, with a trunk hanging down beneath. You can see squiggling down there is the trunk of Ganesh. And Ayravata Shila, footprint of Ayravata. So the pujari says. And just to the left corner, this is a Katora Shila, a place that it's said where Krishna and the cowherd boys would place their lunches in this little depression within the Shila and have their lunch that way. This is not uncommon. There's a number of places like this in Vrindavan, not just by the side of Govardhan Hill. And the claim is one of these Shilas has Krishna's heel print. Now, we're back by the side of Govardhan Hill. We're still in the same area. We haven't completely visited all the places. We're going to go to the Radha Shama Sundara Temple, number 9. You see that number 9 there on the screen? This is the entrance. Nice pujari, very friendly, and nice deities inside. And some of the local friendly buffalo taking their bath in Govinda Kund. Another season, nicely decorated with the algae and things at the top of the water. And off we go from Govinda Kund, that's pictured on the screen here, number 1. That's that green square just to the right of the number 1. And we're heading for Dauka Dauji. We know what Dauji means because we visited the Dauji temple. Dauji means elder brother. Dauji is Balaram. And Dauka has another meaning, means watching or observing. Along the path we find places where, very common, pilgrims will come, some pujaris assisting them with milk and other items, and worshipping Govardhan Shilas right by the side of Govardhan Hill. Here's the Parikrama Path. Sometimes it's more crowded, sometimes it's more peaceful like this. But nice soft sand, very easy to walk on, and lots of walking around Govardhan Hill. Sometimes they have these bricks. It's a little more difficult. The softer sand is much, much, much nicer, for the feet at least. And cows and local cowherd boys and Govardhan Hill. There's interestingly shaped trees that are taking advantage of the Govardhan Shilas, taking their, not just their darshan, but their touch, their sacred touch. Different shapes and sizes and colors of the Govardhan Shilas. Local villagers, literally, they worship these Shilas as they pass by, offering tulsi leaves and flowers. Just to give you a picture of some of because we heard from the very beginning, Govardhan not only has the different colors and shapes, but each one of them is Krishna himself, worshipable rocks. For those that have faith, they understand that. So Dauka Dauji is just inside the running to the left and right. That's the dirt path. Then there's a little path going in from the dirt path towards the hill that's at the center. And on top of the hill is Dauka Dauji Temple. Let's go along this little path to find our way to Dauka Dauji. That pink building at the top, that's the place where this pastime of Balaram was enacted. The pastime was at the southern tip, or the punch, the tail of Govardhan Hill, is the place where Krishna and the gopis would perform their spring rasa dance, one of their favorite places. And we're going to visit that place, the Rasa Stali place. And Balaram was watching because he was cautious. He didn't want to interfere with Krishna's pastimes, but he was so astonished seeing the Rasa Leela dance that he was just gawking and staring and trembling in ecstasy, seeing the beauty of Krishna's rasa dance. at Rasastali. Devotees don't walk on Govardhan Hill, ISKCON devotees, but the pujaris do and pilgrims do. So a camera was given to the pujari to take this picture, and then the pujari gave the camera to someone to take a picture of him. This is what's inside the Dokadauji temple, because you won't go there, but you can see the photograph. This is the main Shila that he worships, amongst many others. And at the bottom of the hill is what's called Balaram Mukut Shila. This you can see, it's just at the bottom of the hill, because when Balaram was watching the Rasa dance, he became so ecstatic, his crown fell off. And when the crown fell off Balaram's head, the Shila at the bottom became ecstatic, and a partial impression of that crown was made on the top. And so devotees come and offer flowers and milk and other articles honoring the mukut, or the crown, of Balaram, making an impression on the top of this rock. And often it's moist because people worship it. So it's a celebrated place, Mukut Shila, Balaram Mukut Shila, at the base of Dokadauji temple. You can see Dokadauji from a distance. It's a very tall part of the Govardhan Hill. Now we're heading, continuing at that red line, as you see, for the very, very end of Govardhan Hill, number 3, Punchari, it's called. And we'll see some sights along the way, some cows grazing, some young ladies doing Dandabat's Parikram around Govardhan Hill, some of the friendly monkeys playing amongst the trees and helping one another get rid of insects or whatever other things bother monkeys. And here's a monkey who's checking us out while we're checking him out. Here's a zoom lens. He's now posing. And a lot of interaction with this fellow. Okay. Then here's another one. He's Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj calls this image the Philosopher Monkey. He's considering, oh, what is life anyway? I can't make any sense out of it. I think I'll just take a nap. And peacocks, and pilgrims, and different days, different times of the day. It's very green, so this is near the rainy season. And different times, the weather is, very comfortable during the middle part of the day. The tall hill of Govardhan is subsiding slightly, but still quite tall. And many Govardhan Shilas, or rocks from Govardhan Hill. Some of these are piled up. The local people pile up rocks like this because it's a message that they're saying they want in their next life to have residence by the side of Govardhan Hill. That's the intention behind piling up rocks like that. Okay, so more of the sights. Those that love Govardhan, as you spend time in Vrindavan and do parikrama around Govardhan Hill, you'll feel affinity, natural affinity for Govardhan, because Govardhan is very, very merciful. In this area, you'll see on the middle section is this word caves.
कमेंट्स में केमने देखा दुकान
अथवा પછી હાઇડ કરી મેન્યુ રે એટલે નહીં બતાવે પાછળ વેસ્ટિંગ તમારે
तने किधर
So whoever is speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you. We heard in the prayer at the very beginning the Govardhan Astakam of Rupa Goswami mention again and again of caves. So now we're going to see in this area, there's some of the caves. They're near or heading towards Naval Kund. Locally, they're known as Sapta Kandara, or the 7 caves of Govardhan. There you'll see one on the right side of the screen. There's one cave. Here's some other ones in this same area. Different shapes, different sizes, places where the cowherd boys would come when it was too hot, or it was raining, or Radha and Krishna would come for their pleasure pastimes. Caves of Govardhan. Mother Monkey, and she looks pretty content. I don't know, maybe she's a little angry, the camera person. And these are the langur monkeys. They're shaped a little differently, and they're much more docile than the other breed of monkeys. They're very friendly. This little fellow is not so friendly. This is a male monkey. When he sees that he's being photographed, he's going to take exception with being photographed and show his teeth. Yeah. Don't mess with these monkeys. They're nice. Keep your distance. They won't bite you, but you get too close and you may have a problem. And the langur monkeys are much more docile. Here's one up on top of the tree. And local goats checking us out. We're checking him out. A local sadhu offering his obeisances to Govardhan Hill, as we are doing. A sadhu who's doing some little fundraising here with Govardhan Shilas and his buffalo behind him. So these scenes like this are not at all uncommon as you travel about Govardhan and in different areas in Braj. Now, we're at the tip of Govardhan, and we're going to end soon after visiting all these places. So you see number 1, that's the tip, the end of the hill. And the first place we're going to go to is number 2, and that's the Shrinkage Temple. And it's up on a hill. There you see, there's the hill. This is the back side, and to enter the Shrinkage Temple, you have to walk around to the other side. Here we're walking around up the steps. And once you get inside, it's not a very large area, but you can get a big panorama view of the tip of Govardhan. And you see that white structure way over on the right side of Govardhan Hill? That's the Gopal Temple. It's very tall, and you can see it from a distance. You can't see in this photograph the Dokadauji Temple, but it's there, in between. And here's Lord Nrsingadev, very nicely worshipped, with symbols of Vishnu in his hand. And the pujari is very friendly, and regularly the pujari, at least times I've been there, he lifts the cloth of the deity to show what's underneath. And guess what's underneath? Lord Nrsingadev is having at it with Hiranyakashipu. And the deity shows Hiranyakashipu looking like with an animal head. Very nicely decorated. You can see there's an ISKCON Nrsingadev photograph or painting at his feet. The ISKCON devotees like him, and he likes the ISKCON devotees. He's friendly, very friendly. He's not, eager for getting donations and stuff like many pujaris are in Vrindavan. Here's a close-up of the deity, very happy. And on one occasion, he allowed one sannyasi here to touch the feet of the deity. Lots of mercy. Lord Nrsingadev. So what's Lord Nrsingadev doing in Vrindavan anyways? he is giving protection to the devotees. Protection from their own misgivings and material desires, just like we find in 5th canto, the prayers of Prahlad. He helps the devotees stay protected from their own impurity so that their life of devotion in Vrindavan is successful. And from that same Shrinkage Temple, we're looking out in a westerly direction, and you can see there's a Kund. It's called Naval Kund. Naval, Naval, means new or fresh. And behind it, the green body of water, that's Apsara Kund. And behind Naval Kund, that's the water tower. We're going to see some photographs from the water tower. And right in the center, in the back, the tall white spire, that's Romapada Temple. We're going to all these places very, very soon. So back, there's number 2, the Shrinkage Temple, and 3 and 4 is our next visit. That's Naval Kund and Apsara Kund. Here's Naval Kund. Naval is named after Krishna, as like Nava Yovana, Naval. He's ever fresh. And it's nicely maintained. Sometimes there's more water, sometimes less, depending upon the time of the year. You can see in the upper right corner, that's the Shrinkage Temple. It's up on a hill. There are 2 histories about the formation of the Apsara Kund. One of them is that during the great Abhishek for Krishna, Krishna was doing this Abhishek when Indra came with Ayravata. So also 7 Apsaras came from the heavenly planets, and they also wanted to bathe Krishna in celestial waters. So when they bathed him, the water ran into this Kund. That's one explanation. And another explanation is, during the rasa dance of Radha and Krishna that was performed nearby, we're going to visit this morning, your time, their bodies became so ecstatic, their bodies melted and became Naval Kund and Apsara Kund. So here's a number of photographs of these kunds, Apsara Kund. Again, at different years and different seasons and different water levels, but it's a very special place, Apsara Kund. Very photographic too. Here's from the water tower, taking a look down, and what you see directly in front of you, that's Naval Kund, and pilgrim devotees gathered around whoever the speaker is. And the scene, Govardhan Hill, is over to our right side, in the upper right corner of this photograph. So now we're going over to the Romapada Temple. Romapada Temple is devotees like this. It's one of the really you anticipate going again and again. So nice. It's very simple little temple, and the story behind it is also very nice. So, when Krishna was going to be taken to Mathura, he informed some of his devotees. One of them was this devotee. Sometimes the name Lota is spelled differently, Lota, one of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends. Or the Lotha is the local language mean, as you see, return or waiting. So Krishna was going to leave, and Lota said, "You know, I just have this feeling that you're not going to come back." And Krishna said, No, I'm going to come back. I'll come back tomorrow. Just wait right here. I'll be here. I'll come back. Those of you that know the map, Govardhan Hill is just due west of Mathura, or Mathura is due east of Govardhan Hill. So Lota is looking towards the east. He's looking towards Mathura. So Lota said, I don't know, I just have this sense that you're not going to come back. Krishna said, no, just wait right here. I'll come. I promise you, I'll come. So Lota waited. And after a whole day, Krishna hadn't come. And so he waited another day. He was fasting. And he waited for a whole week. And Krishna didn't come back. His parents were in a lot of anxiety. You got to come home and eat. He said, no, I gave Krishna my word. I'm going to stay here and wait till he comes. So he waited 6 months. He waited a year. He waited 5 years and eventually turned into a deity. Waiting for Krishna, Lota Baba. And as the expression goes, when Lord Chaitanya came back, sometime later, 4,000 years later, he embraced Lota Baba and said, see, I told you I would come back. Very nice place, Lota Baba. So now we're looking in a southerly direction down the top of Govardhan Hill, and we'll point out a few of the places that you see at the tip of Govardhan Hill. You recognize the water tower, that's easy. To the right of the water tower, that's Lota Baba Temple. And to the left of the bottom of the hill, up on that little mound, that's the Shrinkage Temple. And the Apsara Kund and Naval Kund, they're just in between the two. So this is a nice aerial photo of what Govardhan Hill looks like at the top, because we're not going to see it otherwise. In the local area, there's banana vendors. They sell bananas to feed to the monkeys. The monkeys are very happy. And somehow the monkeys don't bother the banana vendors, but they... I don't know how that works. Because they could get like wholesale bananas, just grab a whole bunch, have 15 guys come from this side, and one guy steals some from that side. And I've seen them do it, stuff like that, in marketplace. Okay, here's a Pujari offering Charnamrita. Here's some local ladies gathering fresh water. Fresh water in Vrindavan is very special. Usually the water is salty, and when there's fresh water, it's a whole scene. Ladies coming early in the morning and gathering water for their household needs. A local monkey. Oh, there are pigs in Vrindavan too, and somehow they found a mud hole and they're enjoying life in the mud hole. Okay, now we're turning the corner, going up the west side of Govardhan Hill. This is the tip. And you can see this is in the winter, because in the month of January there's less of fog in the air in the mornings. And here's during the rainy season, same scene. Quite a difference, huh? So there's the lake, same location. And way over in the left, again, that's Gopal Temple. And we're going to go up the west side, go up the west side and visit these other places. So we're leaving, we're going to go 6, 7, and 8. First is the Shrinkage Temple, then Rasastali, then Raghava's cave. So the temple has this little area outside it, and the very nice deity of Shrinkage inside. That's the entrance to the temple, and the Nachi deity is very nicely worshipped. Very friendly pujaris. Very opulent. Doesn't get a lot of visitors for some reason. I don't know why. but nice temple. By the side is this Kund. It doesn't always have water, but during this time it did. Sutala Kund just means a beautiful place. And sometimes there's water like this, sometimes there's not water. And very old trees. In the Rasa Stali area, there were at one time far more trees, but some of them were cut down by the locals and some of them just died because of their age. The Rasa Stali area in the springtime was performed in the evening, as you see the full moon, and Krishna enjoying very vigorously with the gopis in rasa dance. Now, there are many places in Vrindavan. Krishna had his favorite places. One of them, some of you have probably been to, Seva Kunj. Seva Kunj is in the downtown Vrindavan area, not far from the Radha Damodar Temple. In fact, the Radha Damodar Temple was established in what was a larger, at that time, Seva Kunj area. Near the Radharaman Temple, near the Radharaman Temple is Nidhivan. It's walled in, very tall wall all around it. They don't let people in these places at night because it says specifically they have found if people sometimes hide to see, maybe at night they'll see rasa dance or something, and they come out mad in the morning. So they don't allow people inside, especially at night. Nidhivan, and of course, Vangshivat. Celebrated, we sing about Vangshivat, the tree where Krishna played the Vangshi flute and the gopis came. So it's a very nice place near the river Jamuna. In this Rasastali area, there's different trees. This is a very old Kadamba tree, a very old Tamal tree, and this is in that same vicinity where rasa dance was performed. This is the Rasastali area at the southern tip of Govardhan Hill. So we visited 6 and 7, and last for us in this vicinity is Raghava's cave. There it is, Raghava's cave. It's said that he chanted his japa inside the cave so no sound, no nothing would disturb him. Sometimes devotees like a very, very quiet situation for their morning japa. Sometimes devotees like being with many other devotees chanting. But Raghava Goswami liked specifically being in this cave. Deep recesses. There's a other entrance to the other side. We'll see that shortly. Raghava Goswami, one of the things that he was celebrated for was a Parikrama around the whole of Brajmandala, where he took Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur and describes each place. Many of the places that we visit around Govardhan Hill, it was described by Raghava Goswami. Raghava Goswami, according to Gaura Gonadesh Dipika, was Champakalata, one of the principal gopis of Radharani, always by her side, always able to counsel her. Champakalata was very good with poetry and would know how to counsel Radha with her ecstatic emotions. It's a very intimate associate of Radharani and a very intimate devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wrote this book, Krishna Bhakti Ratna Prakash, and just a couple of references from the book. This, by way, is the other entrance to the cave, the other side. He writes about the personality of God and having a discussion with the personified Vedas in this book. And he says, my dear children, you are very dear to me, and I request you to ask for any benediction at all that you like. So in his book he writes, they say, well, we have an understanding of Lord Narayan, that he's beyond the modes of nature and beyond the influence of anything material, and he has a spiritual form. We have a general idea about him, but would you, if you are offering us a benediction, would you show us your original spiritual abode and your activities there? So he smiled and he showed Vrindavan with Govardhan Hill and the river Jamuna and all the details and the devotees. Something very similar to what we find in 10th Canto Bhagavatam, where the elders of Vrindavan wanted to see Krishna's spiritual abode. And then in the book he asks this question about sometimes people ask, why is Krishna's form blackish? You've heard that question before? Why is his color Shama? And he gives two answers. He says, Shama is the summation of all colors. You know, when you take your coloring book or your paints and you mix all the colors together and round and around and around, what do you get? A blackish color. But he says it's not a material blackish color, it's a spiritual blackish color. And there's nothing in the Shrutis to indicate that he is to be limited by any color. After he took Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivasacharya around Govardhan, in details, they came back again and again to Govardhan. They were so, our acharyas have a deep fascination for Govardhan, not only Vrindavan, but even within Vrindavan. There's very strong attraction for Govardhan. So they came again and again to Govardhan. Although the residence was in Vrindavan town, they came all the way to Govardhan and spent time because of their attraction, the merciful nature of Govardhan. And one time when they were in this Punch area, from a cave they heard a sound of a very charming flute. They were surprised, so they went to the cave, and as they entered the cave, they smelled the fragrance that was otherworldly, and both of them fainted in ecstasy. And when they woke up, just around them was a little cowherd boy standing there with cowherd stick. And they asked, who are you? He said, well, I was herding cows with my cowherd boyfriends, and I saw you enter this cave and you didn't come out, and so I thought maybe there's some difficulty, so I've been standing here for several minutes just to make sure that you're okay. And now that I know that you're okay, I have to go back and take care of the cows. And poof, he just disappeared. And they were amazed at how charming was this young boy and how sweet was his voice. And they decided to spend the night in that area. So they slept underneath a tree, and they both had the same dream. And in that same dream, the cowherd boy appeared and said, actually, I am Govinda, the personality of Godhead. And I knew that you were attracted by my flute sound, and I knew that you were attracted by my fragrance, my transcendental fragrance. And so I came to you. And now I'm going to show you my original form. And in the dream, he showed his original form because he came disguised as a little cowherd boy. And then the dream broke, and they both woke up at the same time. This is all described in Bhakti Ratnakar, the same place that's describing Raghava Goswami's tour of the whole of Vrindavan for these two great souls. Govardhan is very merciful. There's the other entrance to the cave from the other side, and it's locked, so they won't let public go. follow the red line going to the east or to the right side of our screen. That's where we're going next. And we better hurry because we're running out of time. There's all the places that we're going to visit this morning, all the way to number 9. Jatipur is... Please mute yourself, whoever's making that sound. Thank you very much. So rather than naming all the places as we go along, let's just see where we are right now. We're at number 1. That's the tail punch of Govardhan Hill. Number 2 is the Nathji Temple. And very soon, not immediately, we're going to be seeing a whole lot of blue cows, where that number 3 is. So that's where we're going. Here's just the scene along the way, a very old bull. The gentle sloping area of Govardhan Hill. On this side, it's gentle and sloping like this. On the other side, it's a very sharp drop, almost vertical. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, there's a pleasant grove of sandalwood trees on Govardhan Hill. Although snakes generally flock to sandalwood trees, no snakes ever come here. Or, if sometimes a snake may come, it is not poisonous. Or, if sometimes a poisonous snake may come, its poison is automatically counteracted, and it can do no harm. Vishwanath. As the best servant of Lord Hari, Govardhan Hill has made this wonderful arrangement for the Lord's pleasure. Just the sights of Govardhan, it's inspiring for those who love Govardhan Hill. It's like Didi Darshan and our local monkey friends, trees and the terrain of Govardhan Hill. So now we're going into number 3, the Nilagai. Of course, it's different times of the year. These are the female Nilagai, or blue deer. The females are a lighter color, kind of brownish color, and generally they don't have horns. There's another female, and here's one of the males checking us out. Another one. Sometimes this one is hiding behind a tree. They're very shy. And if you approach them, they'll run, just like deer, they'll run. Here's the female with horns. The gopis describe these deer. Blessed are all these foolish deer because they have approached Maharaj Nanda's son, who is gorgeously dressed and is playing on his flute. Indeed, both the does and the bucks worship the Lord with looks of love and affection. On top of Govardhan Hill, one standing alone, a closer photo lens of that same. Now he's looking at us. A female, a young one, crows on top of her head. You can see there's a number of them. They're easy to spot, but generally they don't move. They just, when they see you, they just stand there and stare at you as you're staring at them. Here's some females looking after each other. Okay, so now our monkey friends, and we're moving along to Indra Kund. We're going to see a closer image of number 4. And directly across from the Parikrama Path from Indra Kund is Ayravata's footprint. That is to say, it is said this is where Ayravata and Indra came in for a landing. So there they are. Indra Kund is on where the number 1 spot is, and Ayravata is where the number 2 spot is. And there's the same, 1 and 2. The Dauji temple, you can see the backside from this side. So Indra Kund, here's a local pilgrim making his parikrama around Govardhan Hill. Here's Indra Kund, and the place where Indra offered his respects to Krishna. Here's the Ayravata footprint. Garga Samhita says, this is Narada speaking to Mahulashva, the king of Mithila. O king of Mithila, a sinner who bows down before the footprints of Ayravata and Surabhi on Govardhan Hill goes to Vaikuntha. So let us bow down before Ayravata's footprint. Here's the backside of Dokadauji. And here's Surabhi Kund, very large, very well kept place, very peaceful for chanting. Of course, depends on the season and how many pilgrims are coming through. Next, and we saw number 3 there, that's Surabhi Kund, very large. Kadambavan means a forest of Kadamba trees. That's where we're going next. And there's some remaining Kadamba trees, there used to be more, and it's said that the dust of this Kadamba Van forest area is so special that if you take the dust upon your body, you become liberated. And so, depending upon the tour group that you're with, sometimes devotees literally roll around in the dust. Here's one young fellow that's really into it. Very special place. Kadambavan. Now we're going to Ayravata Kund. It's a very small place, number 4. Here's what it looks like closer. That dark body of water above the word Ayravata Kund. There's what it looks like some years ago, and here's what it looks like today. They did it up a little bit. Ayravata Kund. I'm going quickly because of time. And then Harji Kund. That's number 2. It's a very large body of water. And then we're going down to the right, Makaravind and Dandavati Shila. We'll see those places shortly. Here's Harji Kund, that was named after one of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends. So you can see a wall that's been put up over a round part of the Kund. Nice and peaceful. And number 3, here's another Mukaravind. And this whole area where you see the white rooftops, that's Jatipur. It's the area where the Vallabhacharya followers stay. And it's usually mobbed, this area where you can see on the left-hand side, there's milk being poured, and they're pouring milk on the mouth of Govardhan. The Vallabhacharya followers have this conviction. Very enthusiastically, they're bathing the mukha, the mouth of Govardhan. And just to the side, to the left side, is the samadhi of Vallabhacharya and his son Vittala. We're going to hear something further about Vittala shortly. And this is the hillside of Govardhan, just to the left, or as you continue going north along the side of Govardhan Hill. It's quite tall, as you can see. And up on top, that's the Gopal Temple from the backside. Now you see there's pilgrims going up and down the hill. You don't see any ISKCON devotees because we follow Lord Chaitanya, who didn't walk on Govardhan Hill, but others did and do. Now, a reminder of some history. Who discovered the Gopal Temple, the Gopal deity? Who discovered the Gopal deity? Do you remember? Huh? Madhavendra Puri. Have you heard his name before? Now you've heard his name. Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who was the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. You know who was Lord Chaitanya? His spiritual master was Ishwara Puri, and his spiritual master was Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, we heard this yesterday, Madhavendra Puri found Krishna, that revealed to him where the Gopal deity was, and he put the Gopal deity on top of this hill and worshipped. There were two brahmanas who became his disciples, and they worshipped the deity following him. And after him, they had no sons, and Raghunath Das, listen carefully, Raghunath Das entrusted the worship of Gopal to the son of Vallabhacharya, whose name was Vittala. Vittala. Because he was over the top, it's just an amazingly devoted pujari and devoted to Lord Chaitanya. Amazing. And for that reason, Vittala was given charge of the worship of Gopal. Some time passed, and so there's now some Gujaratis and some Bengalis. And it was okay for a while, but then it started to get a little, groupism going. Because the descendants of Vittal didn't have the same regard for Lord Chaitanya that Vittal had for Lord Chaitanya. And there was an idea amongst the Bengali priests. They wanted to have Radha by the side of Gopal. And so they were raising funds. And some of the Vallabha followers thought they understood that they weren't using all that money for the Radharani deity. They were sending some of the money to the followers of Rupa and Sanatan in Vrindavan. And so they made a plan. They set the house on fire while the pujaris were up on top of the hill doing their puja. So they ran down to rescue their houses, and they had sticks and other weapons, and they had a big fight. So the big fight between this group and that group went before the Emperor Emperor Akbar. And Akbar heard the case, and he ruled in favor of the Vallabhacharya followers. So they were given full charge. As Raghunath Das had given charge to Vittal, the emperor gave charge to the followers of Vallabhacharya. And so it continued from that day forward. And after some time, there was threat of invasion from some warring tribes, warring soldiers, and so the deity of Gopal was taken to Natadwar. And there he is today, not known as Gopal, but as known Srinathaji. That's the little history. It's a little sketchy, and history can always be heard this way and that way, but it seems pretty reasonable. So the deity that's at the top in the temple is a replacement deity called Pratibhu deity. And pilgrims love to go there. They love Srinathaji. And so it goes. This is a local devotee at the bottom of the hill. The temple is up at the top of the hill. In this same area is one of the sitting places of Vallabhacharya, which they consider. There's many places all over India that have Vallabhacharya sitting places. And one more place we're going to visit, that's number 4, called the Dandavati Shila. There it is. It said it's special Shila that one who, if you've made any mistakes or offenses in the course of your parikrama, you can bathe the deity and become freed from all offenses you may have inadvertently committed. So it's a very popular deity. And during Kartik, they dress the deity like this. And on top of the main Dantavati Shila is this other Shila, another Govardhan Shila, that's used to decorate like his face. And you see his left hand is like a glove sticking up in the air. Dandavati Shila. And here's a looking in the southerly direction. Back there, that's the Gopal Temple. And now we're going to move along the side of Govardhan Hill. Going into Govardhan town, we're almost done. Back there on our left, we're following the red line, going in the right direction, going up the northern side of Govardhan Hill. Jatipur is down there on the western side. And here's the Pilgrim Path and many sights and scenes as you're moving along. Places where worship is going on of Govardhan Shilas in different ways. A celebrated place, Radha Shila, because it's of light complexion, and Shama Shila on the right, our right side is a darker complexion Shila, very large. And pigs having a nice time in a muddy place. That's their happiness. Monkeys with a special haircut. Very stylish. And green parrots there's many such green parrots in Vrindavan. Not so often do you get to see owls, but they are there. Yeah, an owl. And many, many peacocks. So the slopes of Govardhan Hill, you could see that the hill is very tall, but a very gentle sloping space. The devotees doing parikrama around Govardhan Hill. In case you're thirsty, there's a sugar cane wala, and it's very energizing, especially after you've been walking for 6 hours. It's a popular spot. So now we're almost done for this morning, and we're going through Govardhan town. It's a little rough on your feet. As you see that darkish color, that's Manasi Ganga. And the red line is taking us through Govardhan town. You better have a good guide because you can easily get lost going through Govardhan town. But we're taking you to meet Garib Das, who's a little eccentric, but one of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami's favorite personalities. He's known him for years and years and years. And he sells Tulsi beads and Tulsi products, and most of what he's wearing is Tulsi all over the place. And a friendly fellow. Hare Krishna. And above, it's normally Parikrama pilgrims don't go to Shakshi Stali. And this place, Sakhi Stali, is where Chandravali and her gopis resided. Just like around Varsana is where Radha and her gopis. So we don't hear so much about Sakhi Stali because we're left-wing gopi followers. But Chandravali and her gopis lived here. There's a nice story connected to Sakhi Stali and Raghunath Das Goswami. Of course, he was ardent follower of Radharani. And he was, as you know, very austere. From childhood and when he was in Puri, this is a painting, he would just take the remnants of the hard rice that even the cows wouldn't eat and wash it with water, and that was his food. Next to nothing. When he was living in Vrindavan for a long time, his practice of eating was every other day he would take a little leaf cup and filled with buttermilk, and that was his meal for 2 days. Very austere. So one day, one of his assistants brought him a very large leaf cup with especially big leaves. And as Raghunath Das was drinking the buttermilk, he asked him, "Where'd you get these special leaves?" And very truthfully, the follower said, "Oh, it was from a palasa tree from Sakhi Stali." And immediately Raghunath Das threw it away and said, "Don't bring any leaf cups from that place ever again." Wow. Because of his intense dedication to Radharani. It was a bhava reaction. It wasn't a worldly us and them reaction. He's an ecstatic lover of Srimati Radharani. And in the Sakhi Stali area, there's a little Gopal Temple, and we're just about done for this morning, your time. Here's a devotee doing Dandabats Parikrama around Govardhan Hill. Now it's said, if you do one stone, go around the whole of Govardhan, it will take you 3 weeks. Now here's a program that has 108 stones. And so you do the math, how long it's going to take to do Dandabats Parikram around Govardhan Hill. But you see by his head or by his hands, there's some photographs. Let's take a close look. It's a photograph of Jayapataka Swami. This devotee is a Brijvasi doing Dandabats Parikram, and he's initiated disciple of Jayapataka Swami. Jayapataka Swami spreads his mercy everywhere, almost everywhere. So that's it for our Govardhan Parikram Part 3. And if you'll come this evening your time, and this morning early our time, tomorrow, we'll see you again for the conclusion of Govardhan Parikram. And at least this much, you'll be very enthusiastic when you go to Vrindavan again and see all these places. Pay your respects. Remember the stories. Maybe you'll remember tomorrow morning, you remember the Gauri Kund story and the wonderful pastimes of Krishna performed in different places all around Govardhan Hill. That was 343 slides for Part 3. And tomorrow, your evening tomorrow will again hear the Govardhan Astaka of Rupa Goswami. So I'm looking forward to seeing you with us and join us. And at the end, unless Prakash decided to distribute it already, at the end of end of your evening presentation, you'll receive a copy. And I hope you'll hear it again and again because it's very charming and enchanting. Srila Prabhupada ki, Govardhan Puja, Govardhan Parikrama ki, Gaur Premanandi. So, Prakash, tell me what you'd like to do. Should we take